let's talk about Sergio straight away. Great victory.
It's just fantastic, isn't it? I mean, I delight in seeing people achieve their dreams, and I think that's what sport's all about. And when you see a driver who's been around as long, and he won't mind us saying this, as long as he has, and he's then had this extraordinary break in his career with Red Bull Racing as effectively number 2 driver to Max Verstappen, and that was brought home very clearly by what happened last week in Spain, and then to come into Monaco and win the race as well, after a little shunt at the end of qualifying, which rather protected ultimately his grid starting position because Max had his lap ruined. So all in all, it played out pretty well. And I can only begin to imagine what the reaction in Mexico is going to be tonight, because I was there 2 weeks ago after the Miami Grand Prix. Mm-hmm. And to say Mexico as a country is behind him is just something else.
Alex?
Yeah, no, it's quite amazing, actually. I'm super pleased with Perez. There's a good shot just now of Mark when you looked after the A1 Team Ireland team as well. And of course, Sergio raced with us when he represented Mexico. So, he's been one of the less fashionable teams over the last decade. But, how he's come on, and I was so pleased to see him get the chance in Red Bull. And yes, you do feel like he's number 2 driver, but he's just not sitting there, isn't he? I mean, his pace the whole weekend was really, really good. Out-qualified Max for the second time this year, and has really well-deserved win.
What was it about what he did compared to the others in the top 4 that gave Checo this victory in his 220th Grand Prix?
I think from my perspective, it was very clear early on in the race that he was running really strongly. And obviously we were dealing with hugely changeable conditions. But I was sitting watching the timing monitor sector by sector, and I realized there was just this pivotal moment, which actually the main feed commentators didn't really pick up on. You could see that Sergio was ideally positioned if he could just get onto the right tires, and sure enough, he did. He had the gap just right, and simultaneously you could see it starting to fall apart for Ferrari, and sure enough, it's just played out perfectly. So again, going back to Alex's point, Sergio has been driving well all weekend, apart from that minor hit with a barrier at the end of qualifying. He's been driving very strongly, and to be fair, he's been driving very strongly all along. So what we've seen in this race is everything come together. And we all know in racing, that's what you're looking for, everything to fall into the right place. And the timing, of course, being critical. But he was doing everything right, and it came his way. And no one's going to argue that he doesn't deserve today's victory.
And he was doing everything right, including in qualifying, wasn't he? Because if he hadn't qualified ahead of his teammate, then he wouldn't have been in that position to take advantage of that double stack pit stop. What did you think of it when you saw it, Alex, when they did that?
I think that really, though, where Sergio got that big advantage, yes, he had to do it in qualifying, but he's quick in all the practice sessions as well. So it always looked like it was possible to out-qualify Verstappen today. I wasn't actually surprised to see him do it. But where Sergio had that really good thing was going to the intermediate early, because he was the first of the front runners to do it, like Mark said. And that was a bit risky, because the conservative gamble would say, take the rain tires all the way and go to the slicks. But no, he made the right call. The team made the right call at the right time, and his pace on the intermediates was so quick. So like you said, qualifying. So when you're going to double stack, he's got the advantage at that point, especially in Monaco. It's not easy to let Verstappen through. So I think he also would have taken a little bit of spirit from the last race when he had to let Verstappen through in that race too.
And before we move on to the others in the race, what is it about this year's car or this year's Sergio that means that he's able to be so much closer to his teammate on pace, not only in the races but in qualifying? Mark, have you got any insight to that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I know quite a few of the guys at Red Bull, and the feeling is that, I mean, here's a guy who came into a team who has a vast amount of experience, and that's not to say Max doesn't have a lot of experience. Of course he does, but Sergio's been at this a long time. He knows what's what when it comes to getting the most out of a car, and also he knows what he needs from the package. when you change teams, it takes a little while to get to know the people you're working with, to kind of bed yourself in, even if you have got a lot of experience. And I think what we're now seeing is actually him on a trajectory of improved performance, because he's extremely comfortable in that car. He knows he's got a competitive package. This is what all drivers dream of, and he's now gotten his break. So even though he is fully aware of the fact that the team is focused on winning the Drivers' Championship for Max and obviously the Constructors' Championship as well, he also knows from his contractual position that if things fall the right way, as happened today, he can go out there and win. And so he's grabbing opportunities with both hands. And if you think back to some of his defensive driving, last year to help Max during races, to protect Max, I mean, he has gone above and beyond to help the team. And he quite rightfully, I think, this year feels that he has to take those opportunities when they come his way. And that's what he's done today. And as Alex says, of course, he went on to the intermediates when he did, but actually the team had been watching what some of the cars down the field were doing in terms of times and sector times. And so the risk didn't feel that high, and they went for it, and Sergio then carried it through. So I think he's just simply really comfortable in the team, in the car. Package is obviously fantastic, and as a result, he's able to make the most of it.